Okay, now I'm going to start the writing process. So I've attached the documents and my workup page, and I'm going to start writing. So I'm going to hit the different points on the rubric and kind of, as I have these 45 minutes to write, I'm going to kind of talk through how I would go about the writing part of the DBQ. You're going to hear some clicking from the keyboard. I apologize. And it's going to take me some time to think some things through. But first thing I need to do in the DBQ is get the contextualization point. So I'm going to start with an introductory paragraph. And in the case of this prompt, which asks us to talk about how Muslim and Christian attitudes changed over time toward traders and merchants, I need to make sure that I involve like trade as a big part of my context. So the way that I would start this would be something like I'm not the best typer, so please forgive me. I would say the earliest civilizations of the world, such as, let's say, Sumer and Egypt, used barter, which is a key term, and trade, which is also a key term, to exchange items and services. See, like if I make typing errors, I'm just going to let it be. Okay, services without, oh gosh, that's bad. Without the use of a currency system. Okay, so at least we're off running here. Okay, eventually, I got to do a comma. Regions such as Greece needed of course, to trade due to geographic limitations on natural resources and or suitable farmland. All right, let's see if I can fix that right quick. That's bothered me. Yeah, fix this right quick. Okay, so I got a couple of sentences there. I need a couple more. I could write a lot about this. Merchants. Let's get into merchants. Merchants. Get with me. Okay, merchants have always played a role in the social class systems of civilizations and were usually a part of the middle class. Now I'm going to get in. I need to talk a little bit more about branching into Islamic and Christian trade. So I'm going to talk about the Silk Roads. As the Silk Roads okay, let's just keep it simple, became a link between China and Europe. I should say, and the Middle East, because that's really what it went through first, comma, Christian and Muslim merchants began to participate in this trade. Now, okay, so as that starts, now I want to talk about the Roman Empire and their trade. That's another contextualization there. the Roman Empire had a vast trade network at the time of their, I think it's their or them, I think it's their becoming Christian under Emperor Constantine. Now so that's a little bit of Christian. Now I'll talk about something Muslim. Let's talk about Mecca being a trade center. So I think the Muslim holy city of Mecca was a center of trade as pilgrims made their way to it for worship at the Kaaba. I want to say, I really want to say something about the Hajj because it's another key term that I can show so you want to show the reader that you know and understand different parts of history. So first I need to say at the Kaaba, this would be before and after the development of Islam. So it was a center of trade. Then it became an Islamic center. All right, that's fine. That's fine. We're not going to be able to talk about the Hajj. I think we're going to have to cut it. Way there. Kaaba, Constantine. Oh, boy. Got to work on my typing. Net rock. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Huh. Okay, that should be right. Kaaba. That's right. I'm not. The computer's not right in that one. Okay. Now, is it time for the thesis? I don't know. Let's see what else can I put in here. Okay, I'm gonna start leading into my thesis. So, as time went on, both Christians and Muslims. No, Christians. Both Christians based on the teachings of the Bible and Muslims based on the Quran developed a similar approach to trade and merchants. Actually, I don't want to say Bible yet. I want to say Jesus. I think that would be more fitting for this topic. All right, Quran, change that. It's not similar, but similar. Okay. All right, I think now. Okay, I think now I can get into my thesis. I think this is a good place to put the thesis. Okay, and the prompt was evaluate the extent to which. So I need to make sure that my thesis what I wrote in my thesis when I planned this out was the extent to which, that's how it's got to start. The extent to which, because he has to answer the prompt, the extent to which the Christian and Muslim religious attitudes toward merchants and trade changed. So I'm definitely answering the prompt over time. Oops, changed over time. I'm thinking that's minimal. Was minimal. Was minimal because, well, not because, but in that they both. If you read the documents, one of the big things is they both focused on. I'm looking at the documents right now. They both focused on, I would say, fair trade practice. They both focused on fair trade practices, comma. Any good subpoints? Let me look at the documents, my notes. Fair trade practices, comma. I need a second tenant. Let's see here. What can I go with? Fair trade practices. Why? I'm going to talk about Christians. While Christians consistently viewed the accumulation of wealth as, I would say, unnecessary. Unnecessary. And Muslims accepted fair trade as a necessary means to make a living. Yes, to make a living. Okay, so fix this. Religious, unnecessary. All right, so the extent to which the Christian and Muslim religious attitudes toward merchants and trade changed over time was minimal, in that they both focused on fair trade practices, while Christians consistently viewed the accumulation of wealth as unnecessary, and Muslims accepted fair trade as a necessary means to make a living. Yes. I think that's definitely a thesis that would get the point. Context, I think I put enough context in there historically to relate and get that point. Now, my goal is to talk about each tenet in my thesis, and I need to use the documents now. So it's going to be hard to show you because I can't flip back between what I wrote on the documents and here, but I took a picture of how I marked up the documents. So hopefully that can give you some insight there as to how that might have gone for me. But I forgot to mark when I started. 1:39 right now. So I've probably been doing this for about 10 minutes. So I would guess I started at let's just say 1:30. Okay, we'll have to figure that out later. But I still have, if I started at 1:30, I've still got until 2:15 to write this bad boy. So, okay, let's see about where I want to go next. Okay, first I need to talk about my first tenet here, which is how they both viewed trade as something important, but in the documents, I need to use the documents. So they both viewed trade as a practice that needed to be completed in a fair fashion. Okay. Christians and Muslims both viewed trade as a practice that needed to be completed in a fair manner. That might be okay. Fair manner. All right, let me scroll down so everybody can see the page. In a fair manner. Okay, yeah. So that talks about my first tenet, which is that they both focused on fair trade practices. So now I need to use my documents to support that statement. So document 2 was the Quran. Let's talk about that one. Now let's just go right in. Okay, so that's around here. Document 2, let's describe it, is a passage that, no, is a passage from the Quran that explains trade as a necessary means, but that it must only be completed in a fair, I used manner before. I could say it again. Fair and honest. Let's just say way this time. Change it up. Fair and honest way. All right, now let's talk about the fact that since it's from the Quran, that's like a major document for Muslims to follow. So, due to this passage being from the Quran, it proves that Muslim followers were expected to conduct trade in a fair manner. No, I don't want to say in a fair. Let's just say fair way. Keep it simple. All right, due to the fact that it's from the Quran. Excuse me. Oh, donkeys! That doesn't help me. No, now I got to change the whole thing. There. Okay. Now that's okay. Now we hit document. We got one document in. We described it. We explained how it relates to our thesis. Well, my thesis. Document. Now, document 5 is from Ibn Khaldun, and that one talked about unfair trade raising prices. So, document 5 is a passage that from Ibn Khaldun. I think I spelled that correct. Ibn Khaldun. Who was a Muslim scholar at the university level. So he's teaching people that are studying into business, most likely. University level. Okay. The document related to our thesis mentions that unfair trade and raising prices to make a significant profit. I want to say profit. To make a significant profit. Yeah, that's the best word for it. Profit. Was not virtuous. Virtuous. Was not virtuous and will have a negative impact on, let's see, how do we want to say this? Negative impact on, dang it. Well, he said on the soul of merchants. Let's not talk about heaven and hell. Let's just say on the soul of merchants. Okay. Oh boy. Okay, this is not easy, huh? All right. So now I think this document, since he's a university professor, I think this would be an easy one to show intended audience, because intended audience in this case would be students, maybe most likely business students if he's talking about this topic. So I'm going to go with that. So let's say the intended audience. So this is a HAP. I'm trying to get the HAP doc sourcing point. Oh, that should be a T. The intended intended audience of document 5. I want to make it very clear what document I'm talking about. Are university level students who were most likely studying business, and this is important. This is how you get the point. Important related to the thesis. This is important because Khaldun, he actually first teaches them how they can trade to make a profit, but then reminds them that this is not a virtuous practice, which in turn relates back to the fair trade ideology, which is my thesis point, right? Yeah. All right. So now I've hit, did I hit 2 Muslim documents? Now I need to hit a Christian document that also defends fair trade. What's the best one to start with? Thomas. Well, if I'm going Khaldun, who's a Muslim philosopher, let's go Thomas Aquinas. He was a Catholic philosopher. So in a similar fashion, document 4 is a passage from Catholic philosopher Thomas Aquinas that also states that trade is fine, but only when conducted fairly. Aquinas, like Khaldun, was a scholar and also theologian. Was Khaldun a theologian? Not as much as, that's okay. Let's see. That taught others and his followers were known as the scholastics. Now we can do another hip, because since he's got students who follow him, we can also do hip. I like to hip or hap. Hap and hip are the same thing, but I like to use intended audience. That's the easiest one for me to pick out of the documents. So I'm going to do that again. It doesn't matter which one you use, as long as you do it for 3 documents independently. Let's see. Therefore, the intended audience of this document, I think I'm going to put 4 in there. I'm going to put doc 4 just to make sure. Wait. Doc 4 would be the intended audience, would be students at the university level, just like the last one. Okay. So now we're going to explain how that relates to my thesis. I'm going to look at the... Shoot. Oh, no, I want to say if it's they're following Thomas Aquinas, most likely studying theology is what he taught. Okay, let's talk about how this is important. This is important because it proves, what I was going to say, it proves that Christians also viewed trade as something that was necessary, but only when conducted in a fair manner. So we're zeroing back to my thesis again. Okay, now I want to summarize this. So I've used 3 documents. I've used 2 Muslim, 1 Christian. Therefore, not a period, comma. Therefore, the teachings of key Christian and Muslim scholars and practitioners, can't see it, practitioners, were similar in that trade was necessary, but only if fair. Yes. All right. Now we're making our way here. Okay. So let me fix that. Okay. I hit 3 documents already. I've described them and used them toward my argument. Now I'm going to continue forward here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I had to take a break there to catch my thoughts. I'm going to be close on time now. All right. Next, what I need to do, looking at these documents, you always got to be referring to the documents. I need to go to my second tenet of my thesis. Let me just forgot what I wrote. Let's go see. All right, now we're going to talk about Christians kind of viewing the accumulation of wealth as unnecessary. So that's what we're going to go to next. All right, let's go a little faster here. Okay. I know what I want to talk about. Christians in general viewed the accumulation of wealth as an unnecessary means, and the documents show that accumulating wealth should not be a goal. That's fine. Okay, now let's get into the documents. Document 1, that was the Bible passage. It was from the Gospel of Matthew. Oh, I spelled Matthew wrong. Oh, shoot. It's 2 T's, I believe. Matthew. Gospel of Matthew. And states that rich men will have a hard time getting into heaven. So now I've described that document. Now I need to use it to argue. This shows that early Christians, geez, my spelling is bad when I'm typing. I can spell when I write, it's just when I type. Christians are expected to, typing is bad. That's what I need to work on. Follow the teaching of Jesus and the passages of the Bible. which would then support that thesis. Okay, let's fix that. Cretans. What is that? Christians. Okay, there we go. All right. Next document about Christians, document 3. Document 3. That's the one from the monk. What can we use here? Okay. Document 3, also from the Christian perspective. What do I want to say here? Of a monk in the, let's use a time frame, 1100s. And essentially highlights that accumulated wealth should be donated, because that's what St. Godric did. Should be donated to charity. This document was written by a monk about the practices of a merchant named St. Godric. Okay. Yeah. The fact that, let's not relate this to our thesis, the fact that this details the practices of a saint is important, because since it's a saint, this is somebody to follow. And the fact that is important because this is a Christian model, and that he model, and since he was rich but donated his wealth to charity, proves that Christians are not expected to place a precedent on accumulating wealth, and that defends our thesis very well. Yes, I like that. Okay, hopefully that's making sense when I read it again. Christians. Okay. Excellent. All right, now let's look at the document 6. Document 6. This is also the series of letters. All right, let's look at that. How can we use that? I go document 6 because that's the other Christian one. Document 6 is a series of letters from Italian merchants during the 1300s. It's important that I mention these dates because it proves that over time the viewpoint kind of stayed the same. This document, which suggests that the merchants were Christian. Yeah, because if it's written by Italian merchants, even though it doesn't say they're Christians, if they're from Italy in the 1300s, they're most likely Christian. Okay, so that shows that we know our history. The document, in general, is predicated on people not expected to be money hungry, but rather that merchants should make fair trade deals. That's really what it comes down to me. It's really the big point of our thesis. That this once again proves that Christians shouldn't focus on accumulating wealth. That's the big point here that we're trying to argue. Okay, now how can we hap this? Though I like the one part B from the mom to the son. I think I can. I mean, I could definitely talk about intended audience there. That'd be easy, but I can connect it. Okay. One portion of this document is letter B, and it is a letter from a mother with, I'm doing intended audience again because I think that's the easiest way to do it. Intended audience being her son, a merchant. She tells him that he has enough money. Oh, enough wealth, she says. Enough wealth, I think, in the actual document. Enough wealth and goods, I think she also said, and goods to live well, and that he should not care for more. All right, so yeah, that's about okay. I got to connect this to the thesis, though. It's just basically that Christians shouldn't seek wealth. She's trying to tell them don't seek wealth. This is important because it proves that viewpoint of Christians not seeking wealth. Okay. That's the second tenet of the thesis. Let's knock that out. Bam. This one doesn't matter. It's not about your punctuation and stuff, guys. It's really just how you argue and follow the rubric. So no worries. Okay, now I need to look at the Muslim documents and come up with my last tenet here. All right, let's see. The Muslim documents are 2, 5, and 7 on my grouping sheet. So I did group the documents when I prepared. I want to talk about 2, 5, and 7. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can. Documents 2, 5, and 7 are from the Muslim perspective and all focus on how let's see, the Islamic world accepted trade. Yeah. Okay. I'll focus on how the Islamic world accepted trade, but that it should be also conducted in a fair and honest manner. All right, let's break it down. Document 7, like that one. notes, is a record of a court case involving cloth or textile guilds in Turkey. The document explains that a certain merchant was buying up all of the yarn in a certain town, and this did not give the other merchants a fair chance, because he was buying it all, then he was selling it to them because they needed it so bad, because he was the only person they could get it from. So he was raising the prices, and that's why they took him to court. All right, Islamic world, not works. Okay, that's document 7. Oh, in this case, it's easy. The intended audience of this document would be the court officials. Yeah. The intended audience of this document would be the court officials, judge, or possibly a jury, something along those lines. I've got to relate it back. This is important because it suggests that there were laws. Yeah, if they have a court case, that there were laws in place against unfair business practices. I gotta say, and this once again proves that Muslims expected fair trade. All right. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't gotten the outside evidence point or the complexity point. I'm not going to go for the complexity point, but I have 3 minutes to try to get outside evidence in here. Okay. I want to talk about Muhammad, the Muslim. I want to talk about Muhammad. Perspective on trade being a key means to living stems from the historical example set by Muhammad. He was a merchant himself and trader that married a wealthy woman named Khadijah. A businesswoman, I need to say. Wealthy businesswoman. Why is my computer going so slow? Wealthy businesswoman named Khadijah. All right. What else can I say? I'm going to say this evidence from outside the documents is important because it shows why trade is essential in the Muslim world as an accepted practice in modeling the way that Muhammad lived. Following his way is known as the Sunnah and is one of the sources of authority in the Muslim faith. Bam. Still have a 2:15 right on time. Uh, I think I've written it. I just want to fix a couple things here. Okay, there you have it. Well, right on time. I think I've done enough to get all of the points except for the complexity point. And you see that I worked diligently the entire way through. And so that 45-minute span is hard. It's tough to get it in there, but if you follow the format that I just showed you and you work on defending your thesis and you have a good thesis that answers the prompt, you should be in good shape. All right, I'll also post this essay in the description. I'll post a link to it. I'm going to touch it up a little bit, and then I'll post a link to it. All right, thanks for listening. Hopefully this is helpful.